game, the Eagles 24-8. They're the second, one of only two teams that are 3-0, and they continue their dominance. I mean, so far they have been the best team in football. I mean, shutting teams down defensively, offensively, just imposing their will. AJ Brown. We talked about how much the Titans miss AJ Brown. Talk about how much the Eagles love AJ Brown. It's been incredible. And Devontae Smith this game. Munch. If you have Devontae Smith on your team, you're a happy man. And then, honestly, even I've never been a big fan of Miles Sanders, but Miles Sanders has stepped in and played pretty well. Yeah. And Jalen Hurts, somebody made a comparison to him and his arc to Josh Allen. First 2 years, first year, terrible. Second year, could see flashes, but not incredible. And this is his ascendance.
I think that was me, right?
What? Jalen Hurts saying, what? Do you say he's bad or that he's good?
No, I compared him to Josh Allen.
Well, I saw a stat from, I forget, probably, I don't know, FS1 or something about it. And It had a good little stat line. I think you actually sent me it, so I'll give you credit there. But so far this season, it's been the ascendance of Jalen Hurts and Trevor Lawrence. I'll pull up Trevor Lawrence's numbers, but if you want to speak on the Eagles game.
Yeah, the Eagles game, another dominant performance. I thought it would be at least a closer game, but you get 9 sacks, which I thought was huge. And then Carson Wentz played pretty bad. Commanders, they had a good first game, but it seemed like first game syndrome where both teams are kind of figuring it out. Carson Wentz was just gunslinging it. And then the Eagles defense is what's most impressive to me. Yeah. I mean, the corners, ridiculous. They're locking guys up. And then the pass rush, you drafted the replacement for Fletcher Cox in the first round. And then you get another top edge rusher. So I'm like, oh, this defense is going to be really good when a lot of people were doubting them coming into the year. And then I also said Jalen Hurts was going to take another big step forward. He's the leader in the locker room and in the weight room, which I think is huge. And then biggest thing for me on offense, I get, AJ Brown balled out. You have Goddard there, but Devontae Smith stepping up for 8 catches, 169, and AJ Brown still getting his 10 targets and 85 yards. I thought that was huge because
massive.
He made some really impressive catches in the end zone. And if that's a 1-2 punch, then you have athleticism, you have a legitimate passing game. Jalen Hurts can hit guys in stride, and Jalen Hurts can also run the ball and run guys over. And he's a mini wrecking ball. He could play running back in this league.
Yo, absolutely. I want to follow up on the Trevor Lawrence stats because we were talking about him earlier. Last year, if you had told me somebody who was completing 60% of their throws, actually less than 60%, had 12 touchdowns to 17 interceptions, QBR of 72, sack rate of 5%, I'd be like, this guy's trash. Get him out of the league. Well, what if I told you that same guy next year completes 69% of his throws, has 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, QBR of 103? I would say that's an amazing jump.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And he can run.
And he can run too. So I'm excited to see Trevor Lawrence's ascendance. I mean, the thing about Trevor Lawrence is that pretty much since middle school, I've heard about, since he was in middle school, I've heard about Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence went to Clemson. His rookie season, they were like, he's the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
Sophomore year, he's the number 1 overall pick.
He was getting the same treatment as Andrew Luck was. I felt like Trevor Lawrence was the first quarterback since Andrew Luck. Not that there weren't other hyped quarterbacks, but he was the first one. It's like, this dude, you can't miss. It was like Andrew Luck, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, exactly. Trevor Lawrence has played out of his mind, and it's a good story. I like Doug Peterson as a coach. He outcoached Belichick in the Super Bowl. So very impressed with them. Very impressed with Jalen Hurts. Those two teams have been probably the biggest surprises to most. But yeah.
Yeah, and then for the Jags-Chargers game, my biggest fear and the reason I wasn't wrapping my arms around the Chargers this year, I was like, this team's very fragile, has struggled with injuries in the past, and they're the Dallas Cowboys without any rings, and Keenan Allen not getting hurt is not the norm. And last year, it was the first year in a while where he was healthy the whole season, so I'm like, that's not the norm, and it's not going to happen. And then you lose your starting left tackle. Justin Herbert shouldn't have even been playing yesterday. If I'm the coach, take a week off, let your ribs heal, because there are some plays where it was hard to watch him get hit in this game.
And you're seeing him cringe the whole time.
He was cringing the whole game. He took a pain-killing shot before it. So it's like you're numb to the pain, so you don't know if you're getting hurt any worse. So overall, it's like That's not the way to get your starting franchise quarterback through the whole season.
No, I'm afraid it's going to make it worse, and he could be hurt. Like, this could affect the rest of his career. Honestly, this game taught me and finally put the nail in the coffin. Fire and Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley has not been a good coach for them. If you're comparing him to Anthony Lynn, maybe, but like, I haven't been impressed. First of all, his specialty is defense. Gave up 38 this game.
Travis Etienne looked pretty good against that defense, and James Robinson did too.
Yeah, but the Chargers have not looked good. They've been extremely average with, honestly, really good talent. This defense should be loaded, and I mean, I understand they have a lot of injuries. And my thing with the Chargers this year, last year the Ravens, 93 players played a snap on this team. I think it's going to be like that for the Chargers, sadly. I mean, we're talking about Keenan Allen's hurt, Rashawn Slater's hurt, or out for the season, actually. J.C. Jackson's banged up, Justin Herbert's banged up, Joey Bosa's banged up. I mean, these are like stars on your team that are banged up. Your team's not going to recover, and unfortunately, this is probably the end for the Chargers. As much as I hate to say it, I'd love the Chargers to be successful, but I mean, who else is going to? It's like who's going to go down next? It's like Final Destination in this bitch. Didn't
J.C. Jackson get hurt again?
Yeah, he's questionable.
Yeah. And then J.C. Jackson's questionable now. And it's like, for me, it's like they put together a defense. I wasn't really sure about them because I'm like, well, Khalil Mack's old, but he'll give you like 4 really good games, and he'll maybe make one play in the playoffs that could be the difference in advancing. But it's like, I'm not in love with it to make a consistent difference over the course of the season. And then you sign J.C. Jackson, signing a Patriots player who hasn't played anywhere else besides New England. That's a gamble. It is. And a lot of that is Belichick's systems, and a lot of his picks were tips from McCourty. So it's like good awareness for being able to be in position to make the play on the ball, because a lot of guys don't make the play when they have the opportunity. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want him to be my number one corner. And if I'm pushing all my chips on JC Jackson, I'm not in love with that. And I think, I don't think they can contend this year. And I don't think they're going to be real contenders this year. And just seeing how fast the Jags turned it around this year with Doug Peterson. I mean, you look at Trevor's body language from week 1 to week 3, you can tell his confidence grew. Travis Etienne was a first-round pick last year. He showed up. He kind of looks like Darren Sproles.
Yeah, it's a good comparison.
He's
I like that.
Short, fast running back.
He's got a good burst. He's got a good burst. I mean, Etienne, he was one of my sleeper picks in fantasy. And Etienne, I mean, I think slowly but surely they're going to have like a Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt sort of thing. Yeah. Like James Robinson's maybe like the third down back, but Etienne is kind of like their pass catching back. But Etienne's amazing. I've been liking what I've seen from him. If you had told me that the stats that I just showed you from last year, the guy would have 28, 39, 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. I'm like, okay, I like that. Christian Kirk's been a nice pickup for him. He's sprinkling the ball around with his receivers.
Yeah, I mean, a touchdown for Marvin Jones, a touchdown for Christian Kirk, and a touchdown for Zay Jones. And then 11 targets for Zay Jones, 10 receptions. That's huge when you're targeting a guy over 10 times. And then Christian Kirk, same thing, 9 targets, 6 receptions. And then Marvin Jones, he's still out here making plays. I mean, the old man still got some game, and I love it. He's the third receiver on this team, and I feel like Zay Jones got a lot better this year.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have 3 solid guys, and you have 2 great running backs. And I feel like that's a recipe where it's like, I'm so impressed with their defense. I didn't see that coming.
No.
And that's the reason why I'm discouraged with the Chargers. It's like the Jags came out of nowhere and shut a team out. They held you to 10 points.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah. One thing I do want to say, a couple more things about the Chargers. Jalen Guyton's also